Hey guys, it's Jenny Wolek with the Wolek Group, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Keller Williams Realty. Thanks so much for coming back and hanging out with us. Today I'm here with my friend Tim Houk, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Go Tigers.
I was letting you have that one. I saved the space right there for you.
Yeah.
Yay! Timmy, I'm so excited for you to share today. You've got so many great success secrets, and we're going to just pick your brain on all your knowledge. So go ahead and just share how long you've been in this crazy business, what your production has looked like over the years, where you are this year, and anything else you want to put into your intro, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. Thanks for having me. 13 years in the business. We're projecting between 240 and 250 families served this year. Yeah. Year to date, we've closed 41 million. Probably got another 5 million pending, roughly 12 million in active listings. We're serves Baton Rouge and doing work in New Orleans. We have an expansion over there. 5 administrative personnel, 6 buyer's agents, or it was, 2 listing agents. I got 2 ISAs. One started last week. And myself, crazy thing, 65% of that business is from Sphere and past clients. I run a very unsexy business.
It's so sexy. I'd say that 41 million is sexy.
It's, it sounds like it, but there's just a whole lot of work involved in that.
So you shared all your team members. What are you still doing? What's your role still in the team?
I am focused on growth. And so I do business development, looking for, developers, investors, channel accounts. Now I work with, and if I do real estate, it's primary listings. I probably work with 2 buyers a year. And usually if it's challenging, if somebody's like, I can't find this property, I'm like, challenge accepted. So I'll take on that. I like challenging stuff. So I work with a small select group, but very involved with every referral that we get. I'm very involved with every transaction, looking at feedback. I'm very involved with the business, even if I'm not involved with the transaction. So we're launching property management, doing a number of things. So a lot of fun stuff, investing, buying properties, flirting with iBuying right now. We're digging hard into that space, lining up investors. But what you focus on expands. We are attracting business.
Yeah.
Off market.
So
Yep.
Tell me why you say your business is not sexy. What does that mean to you?
Because it looks a lot like hard work. And so it's a very numbers driven. It's a very schedule driven thing. I haven't missed a day of work since 2010. I'm here like furniture, as my employees would say. Sick or not, we're here. We do daily huddles. We prospect. We door knock. We open house. We have a very traditional business. We leverage technology, but me and you talk a lot about some class on how to beat Zillow is really rooted in the fact that we had become over leveraged, and I started realizing what was going on and how bad we had become at prospecting for business, and become a lead receiving team. That one day it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, okay, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
I was a big spender with companies that provide leads. So we'll just go with that. And it's not the way.
So yeah, let's just dive into that real quick. You don't need to give away and reveal all the secrets of a class that you have and you've been training, and we can plug that later if you'd like. You discovered that you were spending some big bucks on to a specific company, starts with a Z.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then it kind of hit you in the face one day. What was the aha moment around that?
It goes back to, obviously there's a lot of changes in the industry, but it goes back to something I heard back in 2006. I clearly remember hearing someone say that 70% of buyers would do business with their agent again if they stayed in touch. That bothers me in a very big way. I'm not going to use expletive language on this recording, but dude, that's so crazy. Like, really, 70% of people would work with their agent again if they stayed in touch, or lo and behold, they may even send them a referral. Oh man. So off of that piece of data alone, that's why the realtor.coms, homes.com, Zillow, whatever online platforms that people paying tons of money for exist because real estate agents aren't doing what they're supposed to be. And it just, so it prompted me to start doing a lot of self-reflection and a lot of research. We've changed our business as a result.
By the way, your Wi-Fi is not super great, but I can still hear most of your words. So,
yeah.
Just letting you know.
Pardon me on the internet. I'm we're in the Keller office. I'm in the Keller office today. So
I don't think
about that, but
I don't think you're alone.
Anyway, so yeah, that's what transformed my business.
Yeah. So you discovered that you were spending money and you got pissed basically because you already had a database. And I know numbers matter to you. You're a numbers freak and a data freak. So if you crunched your numbers of how many people in your database times 70% are past clients, that's probably what fired you up and got you into action.
Yeah.
So where did you go? Did you just like cut off the Zillow one day and say, forget it?
I tend to do, and that's how I tend to do things. So I literally looked at that database and realized we should have been doing over 500 homes just for the size of our database. And I literally pulled the plug just like that. But what I find, in the absence of one thing, we find others, right? What we focus on expands. And so I knew that we would grow from it. And it was interesting. Our signed calls used to be our second largest source of business. And it had moved down to around number 8, between the 8th spot and the 10th spot. So I knew something was there, something was a problem. And so as soon as we cut off Zillow, sign calls moved back up to the number 3 spot. What you're focusing on, right? So people were placing the hierarchy of lead, they were placing them low when in actuality it was very high. So we started closing sign call business as soon as we cut off Zillow. It was like, oh, well, we're going to focus on this now.
Oh, so what you're saying, I think you're saying that your agents were speed to the lead on, say, a Zillow versus picking up and taking a sign call.
Yeah.
And there's no referral fee or money attached to you converting a sign call.
No, zero.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those. They'll call back.
Yeah.
There was nothing and so we were missing a lot of sign calls. And
wow.
We just got really clear on that. And if you missed a sign call, you were cut off rotation. And people started paying attention to it. People started fighting for the sign calls. And we started getting some traction there. And then it was just one thing, and then it was another. And, we're just starting to grow our business organically. And it's a very healthy. My cost of sale is something we are working on. Expenses. We're trying to get back to what's important, toward the MRA models, close as we can.
So without revealing too much, what would you say in what you learned from that experience with, spending money on Zillow and now not? What are things that you can share, kind of your secrets to success in that transition?
I would say, without giving away too much as far as like delving into the what's effective about the class is, first and foremost, we've got to remember that it's not people's job to remember what we do for a living. It's our job to remind them. So it's not who you know, it's who knows what you do. and being there when they think about real estate. But if I had to really give you some good hard numbers, I would say take a look at, these are the things I would track. And most real estate agents do a very poor job of tracking their data. And we hear, know your numbers. And it's like, well, what numbers do I need to know? I think the most important thing in order for us is how many contacts it takes to get to an appointment. Okay? And so people kind of gloss over the fact that it takes 100 phone calls. For every 100 phone calls, you should be going on between 2 and 3 appointments. And I've been in the business 13 years. I'm at around a 4% conversion ratio. So for every 100 phone calls, I'll be going around 4 appointments. There's still a lot of no's or not nows before there is some sort of inkling of a referral or something. And so if the industry standard is 2.5%, just knowing that you have a lot of work to do before you get an appointment I think is just critical. Like there's not an instant gratification. There's not a lot of just immediate reward for what's being done. So I think the contact appointment is important, and I think I froze here a little bit.
Yeah, you're good.
The second thing I would tell you to know is, I think the second thing to know is the appointment to contract on the buy side. How many of those appointments do you need to go on before you write a contract? Okay, we know MREA is around 65% on the buy side. Then the next one, MREA's numbers on that is around 80%, but you need to know what your number is. Okay. Know that the listing taken, the listed sold. Ours is around 75%. The industry standard is 65%. So that means that 35% of listings are not going to sell the first time. Paying attention to pricing it right, not saying yes to every listing, but just knowing that the sheer not knowing that is important. We have something called contact paycheck ratio, and so I think this is something I don't hear a lot of people. I've actually never heard anybody talk about. I'm sure that it exists, but from the time that appointment to paycheck. So if I walk into the door, what's the probability that I'm going to get a paycheck? Okay. And it's interesting. My number is pretty high. Even though I give out appointments, my number is still above 50%. I have people on my team I have an agent on my team who was at one point at 88%. He's now around 80%. Ability that if he goes in for an appointment, that we're getting a closing. And we have agents that are much lower, and we're coaching them to get up. So we know so if you're an ISA or if you're a rainmaker and you're like, I know that there's someone agent's got a 25% probability of getting a closing, and there's an agent who's 80%. One, it's important, if it's the fourth quarter, whose hands do you want to put the ball in? But for the agent that's 25%, how can you get to an 80%? Knowing what to focus on. Is it a script? And our research is showing that they're either poorly scripted, they're saying the wrong things, or they're not committed to long-term follow-up. Or they're just missing that ability to connect with people in a way where they feel like you actually care about helping them achieve their goals.
Yeah. So let's talk about some details here. I heard you say you need to, keep up with your contacts and follow up. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like on your team? A lead comes through, say it's a sign call.
Yeah.
Or let's just say it's a sign call.
Okay.
And they're making contacts, and then now these people are just rolled into your database and follow-up touches. What do those sound like over time?
So I think it's important to say, like, if you spoke with that person and you use sign calls, so I'm gonna just go from there. At that point, they went from a lead to a contact. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So you're not automatically, you have to know that's not as an aggressive. But you have to ask really good questions from that point out. So when you talk to that person, gauge their motivation. And based off of that motivation is going to dictate how often you stay in touch with them. If they tell you that they are willing to get pre-approved now, but they're not ready for 6 months. If you drive them for try to talk to them 3 times a week, you're likely going to lose that person as a client. If at any point you put them in your CRM and you see that they've looked at 45 properties and they've saved 3 of them, well, that could mean that their time frame moved up a little bit. But also, if they're willing to get pre-approved right away, then, we had somebody just said they wanted to buy likely in the 6 months. They got pre-approved right after I got them off of the phone, got the pre-approval letter. They scheduled a consultation with me. And I was like, wait, 6 months, they're 6 months out. This looks like a buyer behavior here. We did a virtual tour for a virtual FaceTime them from a house that hit the market on Friday, and we did the consultation on Tuesday, did a virtual walkthrough on Friday, and put them under contract this weekend. And so you have to just start to pay attention to what the signs are. Their behavior their words said C buyer, their behavior told me A buyer. And so it's just paying attention and looking at how often you should be talking to them. But let's just pretend. Let's pretend that this was an unmotivated 6 months out. I would put them on an 8x8, talk to them once a week, just checking in, encourage, see if they've been searching online activities. If they won't take your call, but they're opening your emails or they're looking at properties online, they are engaging. Life happens, and you just have to understand that they're probably busy. At the end of 8 weeks, I'll likely put them back on a 8x8. And that's just how I do it. At least once a week, I'm going to be touching them, but I've gathered their email address, so I know that they're going to get our monthly newsletter, or e-newsletter if I've only got an email address. So that's how we're going to do it. Now, at any point during that 8x8, they raise their hand or, oh my God, I want to see this house, then obviously we're going to be in dialogue a lot faster. So it's just understanding that if you're on some sort of 8x8 or 33 touch, there is going to be scheduled communication. Let that scheduled communication be the guiding light for what you're going to do, unless something has changed. So if I call them for 2 months straight and they never take my call, they're not opening emails, they're not online searching, they may go to once a month, once a quarter. So it's just understanding you have to understand how to treat people.
So let me ask you this. You have a team with some agents on your team. I know you, Tim. I know that you said you've, become the furniture in your office. You're working every single day. And sometimes we leverage pieces of our business to team members and agents on our teams. And they may not have as much buy-in. Of course, they want to, hit their numbers and make the money they want to make for their goals and their family. And they may receive leads and have some follow-up reminders. Maybe there's not urgency behind it the way that we as the team owners see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How are you holding your agents to making sure they are following up once it's in that agent's pipeline?
First, it's helping them understand what the expectation is. But just like an A buyer, an A agent's going to show up like an A agent. They're going to tell you, their behavior is going to tell you their motivation. And so we treat them like adults, but everybody's in our CRM. There's a dashboard. So our rule is every person's on a drip. Okay, everybody's on a drip. So that's the standard. I better not open that database and find that this person's not on a drip. If they are not on a drip, they're taken. So let me tell you, everybody's gonna be on a drip. So by knowing there's a drip, I have access to everybody's dashboard. I can see, great, today we have 110 activities that are due. We'll go look. I'm just like, hey, how's your dashboard looking? It's a very simple question. I understand life gets busy. Oh my God, I'm so busy. My hair's on fire. I'm writing contracts. I've got inspection responses. I'm an agent. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I know the best thing for them is to help them look at the minutia as much as possible. Action dictates results in this business, and that's never going to change. It's not going to change. So if they're not doing the activities, they're not getting results, and I really do care about the results. So, yeah. And if they're refusing to do the activities, then they earn the right to get 100% of their commission, and that's okay too.
Yeah. I know you and I've had this conversation before, the no lead left behind misery of discovering clients in our databases that we don't get to help because of our lack of follow-up.
Yeah, I saw your screenshot earlier.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah. And so what else is not sexy about what you guys got going on over there in Baton Rouge?
What else is not sexy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got everybody on a drip. We're heavy on client events. We're heavy on follow-up. We're heavy on being involved. And it's just helping people understand this lack of instant gratification. We're in such an instant gratification society. Register online. Somebody's going to contact you. They're sending you this. I want this on Amazon. I'm going to get it tomorrow. Things have sped up to such a degree that we're still in an industry trying to figure out where do we lie. And I can't change the technology that's available. Keller Williams is doing that for us. So I'm going to let them worry about the technology, and we're going low tech. I mean, we're already in Louisiana. We're not that smart anyway. We can't even spell go. You know, but you know, so we're just going low tech. I mean, literally, I'm backing out of talking about technology. It's very simple. If the internet were cut off today, guess what? There's still tried and true methods of how to get business and real estate. That's what my class is all about, is getting back get to the fundamentals at such a level where we don't need the internet. Yes, by all means, let's leverage it to save time where we can, but we've just become so spoiled. What's unsexy is hard work. Showing up every day and getting after it and looking at the minutia like you're right. I'm absolutely crazy with numbers. I could tell you.
Yeah, you have the best spreadsheets I've ever seen. Hey, so really, let me remind everyone, if they don't know you personally, you have 3 children under the ages of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you still are really focused on crushing it every day. I can't even imagine going back to those days of little babies and 2 of them at one time. And so I think that's a point to share with others, is that lots of people will make the excuses, the reasons. You can have reasons or results, and you're still so focused on success and pushing forward. So where would you say that comes from in you?
I told somebody the other day, I feel blessed enough that my children take up a lot of my time, because I've had to listen to people who are a lot better with me with time management. I've had to become very focused. I mean, when they're a priority in my world, I had to get a lot more effective with my time. If I use my time now like I did before kids, dear Lord. But you don't know until we're pushed. It's a muscle. I'm getting pushed and stretched. I fight for minutes every day.
Okay.
You know, I was up at 4:50 this morning, out the door at 5, exercised, showered, kids up, dressed. I was at the office for 6:50, on a call this morning with my entire team. We had a very impactful call this morning at 7. And it's just, I've had to be very intentional. You have no choice. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I've been pushed and I've been stretched, and I've had great mentors and coaches and people that are pushing me along the way. And I don't make excuses. The work doesn't get to go away because I have 3 kids. So I just have to find a time frame in which to fit it.
So any final parting words of wisdom for our audience that may be watching? Maybe they're a newer agent or single agent still, or are happy being a single agent, or starting to grow a team. I mean, what would be your overriding words of wisdom from all your years, your 13 years in the biz?
Well, I know I skipped around a bit today because I was dancing around the material that's in my class. So I travel and teach how to beat Zillow, and I'd love to come to your market and teach the class. I think I pour a lot of information out of it into there. It's been wildly impactful. But if I were a new agent, agent in years that's looking to turn the business around, start a team. I mean, you don't need a team. You know, a solo agent, you have every opportunity to make fantastic money and also have a great life. But every one of us have every tool available to generate massive amounts of leads, literally with not a lot of money. And when you start to ask, when you ask that question, if you really start to inspect the things that are out there, the tried and true methods that work, and I'm not talking about mailers or even door knocking for that method, but hardcore networking and relationship building, it's the human connection that is kind of started to get lost, I think, in this industry. You know, people, this is the biggest thing that people go through in their lives, and they really want someone there that really cares about them from start to finish. And not only start to finish, but if you actually take the energy and in our organization, if once they make contact with me, they've earned the right to hear from me from the rest of their life. And that's how we treat it. But I mean, once they come into orbit, I am looking out for their best interest. I'm here to grow their financial picture. And I think if people really take that 30,000 foot view about this business and about our clients, it can just change your world. We could literally quit advertising today and run a massively successful business. Yeah,
right.
It's possible.
Thank you for all your wisdom. And how can people reach out to you if they have if they'd like to share a referral with you?
So on Facebook, I think our Facebook page is Baton Rouge Realtors. You can find me, Tim Houk. My website's also redsticksold.com. You can send an email, admin@timhouk.com. Love to hear from you. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'll share anything I have. Our profit sharing for our team has been a popular one. We get probably 3 to 4 requests a week for that. So anyway, I'm an open book. I'll share anything I have. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate you, Tim. And if you guys need anything from me, my number is 918-706-9845. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.